Okay, everybody, welcome to our regular Thinking Thursday. And today we have a very interesting topic on gender equality. And we have a young speaker with us. Varshaji is going to introduce the speaker. Varshaji, please go ahead.
Yes. So, Radhe Radhe. Hi, everyone. Yes. Recently, I haven't been attending Thinking Thursdays because I've been traveling. So I've been really missing this platform for, so many weeks I haven't attended, but it's really nice to be back. So today we have a very special guest with us called Krishika Mahtani. And why she's special? Because she's not only beautiful, talented, and a wise young lady. So beauty with brains. And I have known her ever since her primary school. She and my son were classmates until they both graduated from high school. So she's just like a daughter to me. And I know her as Anita Mahtani. Anita Mirpuri. Anita Mirpuri.
Yes.
So I might switch between the names, Krishika or Anita, because I'm so used to calling her Anita.
Yeah.
And we senior citizens often say to our grown-up children, अरे तुम्हें क्या पता, हमने धूप में बाल थोड़ी ना सफेद किए हैं, तुम्हें क्या पता. Yeah. But we can actually even learn from our children, as we are going to learn from our daughter today.
Absolutely right, Varshaji. बच्चे हमें बहुत कुछ सिखाते हैं. बहुत ज़्यादा. We just have to be open to their learning and their teaching. I think we have to adjust to a completely new viewpoint that they bring in life. And I think it makes us so much more richer, Varshaji, hai na?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Krishika Mahtani. She's a pranic healer practitioner, a motivational speaker, and an English tutor by profession. She runs her own freelancing tutorial, Beyond Thinking, and Beyond Busy Boards, where they design and make sensory boards for play. Additionally, she's the event coordinator at an NGO called Beyond Foundation for Sen children. Krishika has a passion for spreading knowledge through book studies and weekly online talks to encourage, motivate, and inspire people to live the best life they can. Author of the self-help book, Sparkle, Light Up Your Relationships. So, Krishika, since we have already spoken to Tripti Jain, you already know she's the founder member and the brainchild of Thinking Thursday. So over to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Krishika, we all welcome you. Please
Thank you.
Let us hear you.
Okay, so
thank you.
Sure, I shall start. Okay, so thank you, Auntie, for that beautiful introduction. That was very special. Thank you so much. Okay, so today I will be talking about gender equality. And I thought it would be really interesting to start with the whole concept of who we really are. Now, a lot of us associate ourselves and each other with the body that we're carrying. However, when we actually understand that actually we are not our body and we are the soul that's within us, our perception on how we see things around us actually really changes. So we've all heard the word Atma before, which we know as our soul. But if we ever wonder where that word came from, so actually in Spanish, alma is what they use for Atma, and in Italian, it's anime, which actually brings us to the word animate. So when you look at cartoons, you look at graphic novels, what do they show? They show animations, which is actually what we are. We are the soul animated in these bodies. So when we understand that, we realize we have been incarnated. Now, again, what does carnate mean? Carnate means meat. So our soul has been put into this body, which is meat, and we've come here to explore, learn, and grow on this planet. Now, I found this quote that says, "You don't have a soul, you are a soul, you have a body. And I thought that's a very beautiful quote to start off with. So we just understand that we are actually, when we talk, when we're proceeding in this talk, we're looking at each other. I'm trying to us to understand individuality as a soul rather than as a physical body. Okay, I have been just a second. Sorry about that. My slideshow doesn't want to move with me. Oh, I'll keep it this way. Sorry about that. Okay. So to go further, so when we understand our existence, we actually have multiple layers of bodies. So our physical body, which is visible to our actual viewpoint, is actually just one out of many bodies. So we have a physical body, energy body, emotional body, and mental body, just to sum it up simply in four. Now, the physical body, we all know, comes in two different ways. We have a male body, we have a female body. And why is that so? Is because these souls, as which we all are, had to come on this planet to reincarnate. We needed to reincarnate to keep humanity growing so that these souls can come, grow, evolve, learn, which is our purpose for being here in the first place, right? So we've all come here to learn, to grow, to evolve. And in order for the soul to do that, it needed this physical body, it needed this emotional body, this mental body, so that we can gain and learn through our experiences and through our lives, through our life. So that's when we were created in two separate bodies, which we all know started back from Adam and Eve, right? Where we go back to Adam and Eve, where they came in a male body, female body, only to reincarnate so that the souls can have opportunities to learn. Now, but what is the difference between gender and sex? A lot of times these two terms have been interexchanged and been confused. So let's start off with sex first. Now, the sex of an individual has got to do with our biological makeup. It's got to do with our reproductive organs. Okay, so that's how it's differentiated between a male body and a female body. And it's like I've said here, it's got to do with our anatomy, our philosophy, our genetics, and our hormones. That's what creates our sex: male, female, boy, girl, he, she, so to speak, as how we used to label ourselves before. And this is all based, again, like I said, on our physical makeup. Then we have the gender. Now, this is very different to sex. Gender is actually not confined, okay? It is how one perceives themselves. It's one's identity, one's role, one's norms, how one plays their relationships, and actually the power or the energy which they have within them as they go through their experiences. Now, since gender is based actually, has a social and cultural variable, it can actually be anywhere on the continuum. So it's not fixed that if you are in a male body, your gender has to be masculine. If you're in a female body, your gender has to be feminine. Because gender is, again, a lot of social construct. Okay, it creates and the best part of our gender is that at any given time we can be anywhere on the continuum, and that can even change as we go through our experiences. An example could be a girl brought up in a very feminist mannerisms, where she's brought up to be very kind, very gentle, very homely. However, due to circumstances in life, she has to take on the role of the bread earner. She has to take on the role as a single parent, for example. And then all of a sudden, being on this spectrum of being feminine, all of a sudden this woman now has to take on masculine tendencies in order to achieve. So she may be in a female body, but now on the continuum, she's moved from more feminine personality to having traits of a masculine personality. Okay, so like we said, it can change. There's no fix. So in terms of your sex, unless and until you go and actually have a surgery done, stays the same. Gender can change at any time based on our learning experiences and based on our just how we choose to portray ourselves. Now, because of this division, which has been created between male and female, unfortunately, it's led to a lot of gender stereotyping. Okay. And which is actually, now, if gender is on a continuum, if there's no fixed behavior traits to any individual, by stereotyping, we actually create a lot of fixed ideas on how people should behave. What we end up doing is we make personality very rigid. We will avoid and we actually disturb people from living their true personality. Now, gender stereotyping can actually be broken down into 4 elements. So the first one I have here is personality, where we assume men or women should have a certain personality. It's just an assumption that if you're born in a male body, these are the kind of behaviors and traits one should have. And if you're born in a female body, these are the kind of behavior, a personality you should have. Then it's also broken down into domestic life, as in what roles we play in a family. It is naturally assumed with gender stereotyping that the female has to be more domesticated, more homely, more motherly, more caring, more compassion, where the man goes out there earning the money, pays the bills. You know, the more masculine tendencies are expected from a male, the more softer tendencies, even in our domestic life. Occupation, where some jobs are considered more suitable for men, some more for females. And then physical, which in a way, the way we should walk, the way we should talk, the way we are appropriate to dress, so on and so forth. Now, we know over time, a lot of these norms have been broken, but based on stereotypes, sometimes these stereotypes actually can lead to a lot of discrimination, a lot of inequality issues, which is where the topic of gender equality comes in. So some examples of stereotypes about women I have here is that women should be caregivers, women should be passive, women are quitters, women are weak, women are too emotional, which is one I feel I personally have heard a lot, that women are too emotional, they won't be able to handle this. And many times it's actually been proven wrong. And for men are unemotional, men are national leaders, men are good at math, boys will be boys, men are doctors, and women are nurses. Just some general stereotypes which are very global, which are very globally unfortunately believed, but it's actually not true, because sometimes a man can make a better mother than a mother can be. So it really depends again on your personality trait. Now, how do these gender stereotypes actually become us is got to do with our conditioning as a child, right? And we're growing up, the way we've been told from our family, from friends, through television, through movies, through music, media, advertisements, everything we see has created a norm that this is the way females should be, this is the way males should be based on their body. However, we tend to forget that if we are not the body, if we are the soul, actually don't, that soul itself is gender free. The soul itself is race free. The soul itself actually also doesn't have a human age. So if that's the case, how just by being in a body, if we're restricting the soul from being who they are, it actually leads to a lot of problems, which we are seeing today with mental health issues increasing, with depressions increasing, with substance abuse, so many other things we're seeing more and more now, because people are actually getting confused who they are and what is expected of them because of gender stereotyping. Because gender stereotyping, again, can be, like I said, very rigid, very fixed. They're based on assumptions, and they kind of, based on the body we have, we're kind of expected to have certain responsibilities, certain likes, certain dislikes, certain interests, certain desires. kind of expected that we will be a certain way. All right. Now, to go a little bit further, how do these gender stereotypes affect us in our day-to-day life? Now, this is called the socio-ecological model. And this is actually something which is part of psychology today. And they break it down into 4 levels, where the most deep-rooted level is actually at our individual and relationship level, where our gender stereotype is we are challenged in our relationships. So, for example, if you're in a male body, you are expected to be attracted towards someone in a female body. If you're in a male body, you are expected to be the more stronger, more dominating, more capable, more of the reliable of the two in a relationship, whereas the female are meant to be more caring, more kind, more homely, so on and so forth again. Next level it's seen is in our organizational and community, which is our schools, our workplaces, sports clubs. So much gender inequality in sports clubs in the past, not so much in the present. We are moving towards less equality. We're moving towards equality and moving away from inequality. But public spaces, even certain places are for men, certain places are for females. So there's a division seen based on your gender. Then we have system and institutional, where we have public policies, laws, and governments, where in many countries, laws do differ still based on which body you have. Rules are different, expectations are different, even up at that level. And the topmost is societal, where again, we have cultural values, societal norms, again, expectations based on your gender role. And there are lots of stereotypes which come to play at all these 4 levels, which pretty much consist of our whole existence, our whole life, right? Our personal relationships, in our community, in the bigger society, and in our institutional level. Now, before I go further, unfortunately, what happens at this level is that if in any of these levels there is inequality, if in any of these levels we are forced to behave or act in a way that is not true to our soul personality. Again, when I say soul personality, I refer to our position in the gender continuum rather than the characteristics we are expected to have based on our body. It can lead to lots of negative consequences. Number 1 being, of course, injustice. Number 2, violence. A lot of abuse and violence happens because of this, because maybe a hypothetical situation in a household where a woman is supposed to be calm, quiet, compliant, all of a sudden chooses to speak up, to voice her opinion, to interfere in a masculine role's decision. Sometimes violence does become the consequence of it, only because it's appropriate for a man to be stronger as per stereotypes. Abuse, again, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, a lot of it, because you are trying to be something that you want to be, but you're not, but it's not something which is accepted by society. Another huge issue that happens is depression, where if you cannot express yourself the way you want to be, you cannot do what you want to do, people go into depression. They become, because again, fear of breaking the norm, fear of breaking free from the stereotype. Then you have prejudice, you have biases, you have lots and lots of judgments where people talk about, have you seen so and so's daughter? She's so outspoken, she's so ill-mannered. But is she really outspoken and ill-mannered, or is she just trying to get herself heard? And unfortunately, the end result of all of this ends up in illnesses, where you people actually fall sick, because you've suppressed your true personality so much that it leads to it leads to illnesses. Unfortunately, that's just the truth and the way it is. So what I've actually got is I've actually thought it would be nice to make it a little interactive. So would anyone like to share certain stereotypes they've actually felt that they've dealt with during their own life, certain expectations that they had to follow because it was part of a stereotype behavior. Like for me, I know for me in the very beginning, it was um, the woman of the house should not be working. That's not the woman's job. You can be home, you can handle the house, you can do what you like with freedom. Go out, have fun, meet your friends, handle the house, you'll be happy. We've got it. Is what the men. But for me, that wasn't something that appealed to me at all. I just couldn't do it. I tried, I couldn't. Then finally, one day I went up to the seniors in my home and I said to them that, I'm educated and I've worked before I got married and I would really, really like to continue. I cannot be doing this. And I was very fortunate that I was blessed with very understanding adults around me who said, you know what, go do what you want to do. And that gave me the permission to allow myself to grow. But maybe not everybody has had that kind of flexibility where you have been said, instead of being told, no, stay home and work, you've been told, okay, you can. But I know 20 plus years ago when I got married, it was a woman stay home, men go to work scenario. Anyone to share anything before I continue?
I can share. So I think, now that we've mentioned all these things, it makes so much of sense. I think I have a lot of masculine energy, although my sex is female, but I have a lot of masculine energy. Like it has been like that throughout my life, right? So recently there was a cricket match in my office, right? So, but being female, I played pretty well because I like cricket. I mean, since my childhood, I have liked it, and I played pretty well. So when I played, people were in awe that how can a girl play so well? And although I was, playing for it, and everyone came and said that wow, you did so well, but it was it was odd that why is it something that has to come up like so differently? If a man plays well, you won't go and tell him that you played really well. But if a female plays well, you are making sure that you're mentioning that oh wow, being a female, you played so well. So it's not just because of male energy, but socially people are not accustomed to seeing a female play cricket. So they accepted it because now things are changing and gender diversity is coming into workplace and corporates and all those things. But still, at the back of their head, they are still in that mindset that she's a female and then she played cricket, and she played really well. So they make it a point to pinpoint that you're a female and you play cricket really well. So that's my experience have been. I mean, throughout my life, I have many experiences, but this is something recently that I've faced. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. I know there's so many. Like, I know when my daughters were younger, my elder one was very drawn towards Nerf guns, towards balls. And I was told by so many, like, why does she not want to why is she always in blue and always with boy toys? And I was like, you know what? That's what she likes. That's what she likes. And today that same girl now is so feminine and so you can see that on that on that continuum, you do change. And who knows, in the future, maybe that masculine and would come back. I mean, she's very sporty. She played sports in school. She was in the football team. And just like you said, in the beginning, it was like, oh, a girl playing football with boys? But I was like, you know what? So what? But it's about that's where it comes to breaking free from these gender stereotypes. And you just realize that we if we do not allow ourselves to be ourselves, we are actually hurting ourselves. And we're hurting others too by not allowing them to be who they truly are. So there's so many. Like I've got so many different gender stereotypes written here. Like something as simple as like, where there's one that unfortunately became so big that said women need help from men. And that was seen so much in just literature we read. In books we read, it was always a woman was the subtle, a man had to come on a horse to come to rescue her. In princess stories, they showed Prince Charming coming to rescue. I mean, it's these kind of stereotypes have been with us for so many years, but we can see the shift already, because now you see the same Disney has a movie like Frozen, where instead of showing a man coming to rescue, they show a sister coming to rescue, a sister for a sister. So that's starting to change now, again, because these gender stereotypes are starting to break. And we're starting to understand that we are actually not this body that we're walking around in. We are actually a soul that has unlimited capabilities. And the body is literally just a cover up. So, what I've got here is some examples which we may have heard in our life at these 4 different levels to understand. So, at the individual level, it says here messages such as man up, boys don't cry, and don't be such a girl put pressure on men and boys to hide their fear, sadness, or pain. Their messages also belittle girls and women. Now, this I found very empowering, because a lot of times when we think about gender equality, for some reason, we believe that it's always the female who are the victims. But actually, sometimes the men also are victims, because how much pressure goes on just the man? How much do they have to look after on their own? And it's normal to cry. It's normal to express yourself. I mean, we should. But when a boy has been brought up to say, you can't man up, boys don't cry, that's a girl thing to do. We actually have brainwash is the wrong word. We have conditioned this person in a male body to not allow their emotions to be expressed. And over time, that emotion suppresses, and we get illnesses. Likewise with the woman, women are not allowed to be strong. And then what happens? That woman, even though she wants to be strong, is hiding herself in the corner. She wants to say something, but she's not saying something. Again, the suppression leads to illnesses. So that happens at an individual level with our day-to-day personality. At an organizational level, it can be seen where gender dress codes and school uniforms that restrict girls' movement and limit their capacity to participate in sports and other activities. So at that organizational level, this is where it's seen where women, for example, with school uniforms, they have to wear dresses and skirts. What if they want to wear pants? There should be an option, or vice versa. Some men want to wear skirts. So, so at organizational level, that's where the differentiation can be seen, and this gender stereotype is seen, where you have sport restrictions, uniform restrictions, so on and so forth. At a systematic level, we have distinct and inflexible roles and practices for men and women within many religious institutions. So certain roles for a female, certain roles for a male. If we're all one, if the soul is gender free, then there should not be the division. There should not be discrimination, that this is only for females, this is only for males. So that's where it is seen at a religious level. Now, in a society level, it's assumptions that men are more practical, rational, and decisive than women. This can result in women being underrepresented in leadership or decision-making roles because they are perceived as being less capable. Many, many times, men don't even, especially in the past, women's words, women's opinions, women's ideas were not even heard, because it was just expected that men know better. And that's where, again, a gender stereotype has to break and equality comes in, where you realize it's very important that each person is heard for who they are, because each person is an individual and each person has their own things to bring on the table. Okay, so this brings me to this chart, which says yin and yang in all, but in different variations. So, like I think it was Hina who said, we all have a different variation of female personality traits and male personality traits. In a female body, you can be masculine, you can be disciplined, you can be willful, you can be a leader. And in a male body, you can be subtle, you can be gentle, you can be kind, you can be loving. And in a lot of countries now, I know in the US for sure, that now they've started introducing paternal leave, not just maternal leave, because they realize sometimes a man can actually be more can help domestically so much. It's not that they can't be house dads. They can look after babies. They can handle the kitchen, and they can have a softer, more caring, loving personality. They don't have to be strong, almighty, brave, willful, giving, and vice versa. Not all women are loving, caring, kind, compassion. Women can too have masculine traits. They can be leaders. They can be strong. They can be decision makers. And when we understand that, you realize, so no two people will be the same. No two female bodies will have exactly the same variations of yin and yang personality traits. In a female body, there will be male traits and female traits. In a male body, you will have female traits and male traits, and again at different variations. So when we understand that, it comes to the concept of acceptance. Now, this was a beautiful quote that I saw at the UN Women's event, where Emma Watson has said, "It is time that we all see gender as a spectrum instead of two sets of opposing ideals." And the word opposing here was very interesting, because when you think of opposing, you think of oppositions, you think of it's like a competition of two teams, but actually it's not males versus females. It's not males and females, it's all together. A male can be have do things females can do. A female can do what males can do. And funny enough, in today's day and age, apparently men can have babies too if they have certain operations. But I know that wasn't the way it intended to be, but in this day and age, that's happening as well. So that makes us understand that it's actually not two teams. We are actually not divided. Now, like we said, this division obviously leads to a lot of negative traits. And in the past, there was even an issue where having a woman child was seen as not as a blessing, but as a curse. Many did not want to give birth to woman children, or many sold their woman daughters. Women children were killed, women babies were killed, which actually, I believe in India now, you still can't check the gender of a child because of all of these. I may be wrong. I'm not sure what the rule is now, but I know up till a while ago, you could not even check the gender of your child, because people who are still with the belief of gender division, who still follow the gender stereotypes, don't always value having a female child. But yeah, we need to realize that we're not opposing. We are not, it's all acceptance, accepting everyone for who they are. Um, yeah, yeah, okay. Now, these are some gender inequality facts that I found, and I found them very interesting. And I thought it would be nice to just look at some facts that actually exist today. So, the first fact I saw is that says an estimated 1 out of 3 women have experienced sexual or physical violence at home, community, or workplace. Now, why would that be? That would be only because this woman tried to speak or tried to do something which was not expected of them as per gender stereotypes. Chances are, had these women complied to general stereotypes, they wouldn't have experienced physical or sexual, or I would like to add here verbal abuse as well, verbal and emotional violence as well, if they just comply. But today, women realize that there's more to me than what just sitting at home and doing what's expected of me, and hence not always received correctly, and it leads to violence. Next fact I saw that says men have much lower rates of access and utilization of flexible working arrangements and parental leave entitlements. So this shows injustice not only to female but to men as well. So for women, maybe there's more flexibility in certain careers, knowing that they have domestic chores to do, they have maternal chores to do, whereas men's rules are more rigid. Their expectations are more rigid. So if a man maybe does need time out to work at home, it may be harder for him to get time off as per the female. The third quote is globally, women earn 24% less on average than men. Now, where does that come from? That comes from the thought process that women are not as capable as men are at certain jobs. But the beauty of that is that we've seen such a big change in that now we see so many more awareness in that department, and then 2/3 of illiterate people in this world are women. So sadly, so they're still left illiterate. Yeah, so there's just some fun facts that I saw. Okay, so how to conquer and how to actually overcome this and ensure gender equality is by learning to divide and conquer responsibilities. Now, I found this picture of a male who clearly looks very stressed by the body language because of the amount of responsibilities he has to handle. Primarily being the bread earner, having to pay the bills, and of course, having to deal with everybody else's problems around the house. Because if you are expected, if you've been brought up to be the one that sits at the top of the hierarchy, everyone comes to you. So all that pressure and stress sits on you. And vice versa, as a female body, you have all the domestic chores around you. You have the family to look after. You have your domestic chores. And sometimes you're a working mother too. So you have all of that. So how do we overcome and include and ensure gender equality? We divide and conquer. We see what is each person good at, break free from the stereotypes, and allow each person to do what they are good at. Because if you are good at what you do, you are definitely going to enjoy it, do it well, and as a team, it doesn't matter if the mother chooses to go out and work and the husband chooses to stay home. It's okay, whatever you prefer, whatever you're good at. How do we ensure an equal future? We raise children without gender stereotypes. We empower our children to value and respect their own bodies and other people's bodies. We seek out good male and female role models in our life and theirs. Now, I'd like to add there, when we are seeking out female models and role models, that's just the physical body. But that doesn't mean that when we say female role model, it has to be a female following all female traits. It could be a female who's actually succeeding and doing so well for herself in her career, whereas the father gets to spend more time with the child at sports and so on and so forth. And then we give them all the options for toys, clothes, and color. We do not restrict that dolls are for girls, guns are for boys. We do not restrict pink is for girls, blue is for boys. And we do not presume the sex of others. So we just let everyone be who they are. We see each person as a soul rather than seeing each person in the body they are. And we accept each person for whoever they are, however they are, whatever they are, and whatever traits they carry. So in terms of careers, as you can see in this day and age, actually some of the best chefs are males, and some of the best, funny enough, I've noticed that a lot of doctors now are more females than and male, and many nurses now are male. When before it was very like doctors are males and nurses are females. And now construction workers, there's so many females in the construction working line as well. Wrestlers, so many bodybuilders. In sports, so many female names have made the list in sports. sports which were meant to be only suitable for male once upon a time. So as we learn to break free from the stereotype and accept each person for who they are, we allow each person to live up to their full potential. And when you're living up to your full potential, when you're allowing others to live up to their full potential, you're happy. You'll have less illnesses, less mental issues, less relationship problems, and actually less financial problems too, because you're dividing and conquering. Everything's not just on one person. Responsibilities are very shared. So yeah, we choose to accept and we choose to be free. So I've said here, I found a quote here that says, "Life is like a game of cards. The hand you are dealt is determinism. The way you play, it is free will," which only means that it doesn't matter which body you've been given. The cards you've been given is the body you've been given in this birth. It doesn't matter which body you hold. Within this body, we do have free will to live life as per our innate tendencies. You, we do not have to obey stereotypes. We can live life free, and we must accept others to live life in their free will as well and accept them for who they are. So, to end with, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we'll ever do. So be proud of you. And I really found this little tick box really cute where it says gay, lesbian, bisexual, and human. And it just ticks human. So just found that very beautiful because it just goes to show that it doesn't matter which body you are in. It doesn't matter what traits you have. It doesn't matter who you're attracted towards. What matters is that we see all of us as equals. We see all of us as a human and accept each other and celebrate each other for who they are. So thank you very much for listening. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask. There's something in the chat. Yes. Any questions anyone would like to ask?
Anyone would like to ask questions, please raise your hand. Krishika, you can close the PPT. That will help.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So please raise your hand, anybody who has any questions. This was an amazing talk, a talk that is much needed to develop unconditionalness, to accept people just the way they are for the choices that they make. And I think we all make choices because that's what we want to do. And like Krishika rightly said that, I mean, it does not matter if a man is having qualities which are like female related qualities, or a woman becomes the breadwinner or the provider. And I think there are homes today where we have these stereotypes being broken. But culturally, socially, there are so many norms that tie us to these stereotypes that it becomes so difficult for people who are slightly different to be appreciated. So I think it is a wonderful talk and wonderful topic, actually. I was wondering what you're going to be talking about, but I think the subject and the way you have expanded it is really beautiful. Very, very nice. Any questions or any comments?
Yes, fantastic.
I have
Fantastic lecture. And the way she started with soul. And then there are new terms like the difference between sex and gender, which was fantastic. First time we have
Yes, it was lovely. Anna, go ahead.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Krishika, I want to know, I mean, do you have a perspective on the compatibility of the yin and the yang energy? As in, if the sex is female and there is a yang energy that exists in that person. So, do you have a perspective that will they be more compatible with another body with a yin energy or a yang energy? I mean, have you come across any such examples or experiences so far?
Yeah, honestly, in terms of attraction, generally, um, the body we have, I really believe, if I've understood you correctly, that when we talk about attraction, it doesn't matter which body you have, it doesn't matter what personality traits you per se have. It's got to more to do with if you vibrate together correctly. So in the sense that today, if you are in a female body and you have more masculine traits, chances are you would definitely be attracted to somebody who values those traits in you. It doesn't matter if that other person has yin traits more or yang traits more. It doesn't matter if they're more, what kind of traits they have. It's about who actually is willing to accept you for who you are. So to me, I really believe that the body doesn't matter, the personality traits we're carrying doesn't matter. It's got to do with the acceptance and appreciating each person for who they are. And I think when we don't do that, that's where we actually are hindering our own relationships, actually. If I've understood your question correctly. So I really don't think it's per se got to do with the traits. It's just got to do with acceptance and actually valuing each person for who they are, despite what traits they're holding within themselves.
True, I think yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I find myself more compatible with men who have a lot of feminine energy. Because that's like, I don't know. And now that you have said it, it makes a lot of sense because I feel that we complement each other. It's not like we have to play our gender stereotypical roles. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, because they're attracted towards what you bring towards them, and you are attracted towards what they bring towards you. So you naturally will attract towards each other. So yeah, it's just about valuing and appreciating each other and actually filling each other's gaps as well, right? Because like we said, we're all at such different places. When we fill each other's gaps, you just feel more complete. And that no, that maybe we are complete without the others, but it actually helps us see life in a bigger picture. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else would like to give a comment about the talk? Anything that you picked up? Yes, Harsha, go ahead.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much, Krishika. It was amazing the flow was amazing actually. Not one bit was, there wasn't a moment where I felt like I should go off or do something else. I was like totally hooked on. And because I have very similar thoughts, I just raised hand because I wanted to, I feel a little bit of confusion that Hina has. I get that feeling. So to just answer further to that, I have few male friends and even my jijajis, like my cousin's husbands. I see them, my cousin having more of a masculine energy and doing a lot of things, household chores as well as outside. And my
Yes.
jijajis and my male friends, few of them, they are very gracious. So it's like, I just want to answer Hina further. It is possible that you meet a man who is graceful in terms of talking very softly and the way they walk and the way they handle things, but they are not gay. Sometimes people misunderstand and they misinterpret that because this man is talking in a certain way, very subtle, very soft, and his hand holding is softer like a female, his hug is a very soft, warm one like a female, and not a strong one. So they misinterpret that he may be a gay or something, but that's not the case. So it is possible that Hina meets someone like this where she feels that connect, but that man would still be more masculine itself. It's just that the way he conducts is more gracious like a woman. So
Yes.
yeah, just wanted to share what I also feel around, the friends that I have and the way we know how they deal with their life and how they conduct themselves.
Sure. Okay, that was an interesting insight. Okay, anyone else? Any other comments coming in? Any questions?
He has used many wonderful quotes.
Yes.
I really like it. Like not opposing and working as a like teamwork. These are like very beautiful words. We should take these words in our life, and we should.
Actually, it's very interesting what Krishika has said in the talk, because you meet a lot of people today, couples especially, or partners, who are together because they are attracted to the same thing. So they value similar things, or like I remember some time back meeting two people who are partners who live in together. They're not married or anything, but they're together because they like to go for treks and they like to go for adventure sports. And so, they share similar likes. And so because of that, they respect each other. So it's not about the gender really that they are talking about, that in this male quality, female quality. I think it's what Krishika said about value. So, they value similar things, and so they seem to be together. But if you look at them, if you look at the way they function in the home, they are both trying to do both the roles. The man will be in the kitchen, he'll also make tea, he'll serve also. And the woman will be possibly putting her feet up on the table and saying, okay, that he's going to do it today. So I think that kind of mutual respect and trust, is so important to break these gender roles that we've got ourselves into. So I think the Indian continent is going to slowly wake up to all this. Like, the man in the kitchen, और उसकी माँ अगर घर पर आ गई तो बीवी की तो शामत आ जाएगी, है ना, कि मेरे बेटे से किचन में तो मतलब what is this you are doing? So I think the newbies who are getting married, हमारे बच्चे will be okay, but अगर मेरी मम्मी जाएगी उनके घर पे तो there's going to be a problem. So I think it's going to take possibly 100 more years, I feel, to really let this cultural noose that we are carrying slowly become dhila, loosen up. Time hai. But I think talks like this can really help people. मुझे लग रहा है कि कृषिका तुम्हें ना सीनियर सिटीजन्स को ये बातें करने की जरूरत है. We are senior citizens, but we are modern, तो हमको फर्क नहीं पड़ता. पर जो actually senior citizens है, 70, 75, आप जिनके घरों में बहुएं आ चुकी है, उनके grandchildren भी है, साथ में रह रहे हैं, मुझे लग रहा है इनको तो ये talk करने चाहिए. वर्षा जी, I think you should definitely encourage her to speak to senior citizens.
So I would like to share that, as you said, कि अगर बेटे को अगर माँ ने देख लिया किचन में तो उसकी तो बहू की शामत आ जाएगी. But I really encourage my son, I mean, I feel so proud of him when he does babysitting and, he takes care of the kids. He drops them to school, he picks them up, and he sometimes goes to buy stuff for them. And my daughter-in-law, she's out with her friends. I mean, that's okay, because we have, I mean, women do it all the time, so why can't men do it? And if men expect that the women should, nowadays, of course, people are working, both of them are working. So if a woman can work in an office, so why can't a man work in the house? It's okay, right?
Correct hai. But ye jo hai na, why can't they? This is creating conflict. I think what Krishika is trying to tell us all is this should be the natural norm.
Exactly.
अभी वो natural नहीं बना है, तो इसीलिए अभी भी हम ना इस तरह से सोचते हैं कि why can't men come in the kitchen kind of stuff. I'll tell you, अभी just day before yesterday, I had a girl who came for a session. Her husband is wanting a divorce. On what are the two grounds on which he's wanting a divorce? One, that she went to the States for 5 weeks to spend time with her two sisters, and she didn't care about me. And second, that she's not spending enough time in the kitchen like my mother. Now, these are the two reasons which are flippant, but he has made a big issue out of this. Okay? So what I'm saying now, he's not an old man. He's a young guy. He's hardly 36. Okay? So ye jo young, even the younger generation, I'm sure Krishika can tell us more, but the younger generation is also still split. There is one generation which are young people, 28, 30, 35, jo bhi unki marriageable age hai, who want their wife to be like their mother. I think ye sabse bada disease hai. Wanting your spouse to be like your mother, not like your father. वो हम एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करते, बट मदर डेफिनेटली एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं. और एक ऐसी ब्यूटीफुल न्यू काइंड जनरेशन है who are partners in whatever they do with each other. You know, तो ये मुझे लगता है, इसलिए मैंने कहा कि बहुत साल लगने वाले हैं अभी to have this social cultural milieu changing, को टाइम लगने वाला है, but हो रहा है. Definitely there is a huge shift taking place where the institution of marriage itself is being challenged. कि भैया ये शादी करने के बाद यही होना है, तो शादी करनी नहीं है. You know, because moment, I don't know, ये पता नहीं, I'm sure everybody can throw light on this, but what I've noticed is, moment the two, like this girl who had come, I said, but did you have love marriage? Love marriage. कितने साल? 5 years. उसके बाद भी ये प्रॉब्लम है. तो मैं ही कह रही हूँ कि शादी करते ही पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है लोगों को. So I think there is some research that needs to be done. What exactly the word marriage means to people when they get married. Krishika, any thoughts on this?
Auntie, this generation now don't believe in marriages. They prefer and live in relationships because of these because of all these preconceived ideas that once you get married, you're expected to do certain things. These expectations is where it's actually scaring the youth from marriages, from commitment. I mean, as a teacher, I work with so many teachers, being a mother of young adults. They tell me themselves what's in marriage. Like, why, what, in fact, we can do everything the same without the expectations. So that's why I feel these expectations have to break. If we want people to understand and to be able to live together peacefully in harmony, they have to be acceptation. We have to be able to accept each other for who they are and allow each person to do what they're good at. Like in my own sister's marriage, my sister's recently married and she doesn't go in the kitchen at all, but her husband's a super chef. So it's set that she does the house cleaning, he does the kitchen work. And I'm so inspired and I look at her and I'm like, I love that. I love the fact that you know that he's much better in the kitchen than you are. So she wakes up in the morning, her breakfast is on the table, she comes home from work, her dinner's on the table. And it's just mutually
the women
accepted.
here will say, what a lucky girl she is.
I say that too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mutual acceptation, a lot of respect for what each other brings to the table, what each person brings to the marriage. So she's allowed to work and counsel at night while he's in the kitchen because they just divide and conquer.
Absolutely.
So I find that very beautiful. And I feel if that can pass further, then marriage is beautiful. Marriage actually is a beautiful thing. We just need to learn to accept each other for who they are and let each person to live as per their likes and dislikes without having to follow these social obligations and divisions.
I think it's a good thing to have certain ways of functioning.
Yes.
Within the context of freedom, थोड़ा होना चाहिए, you know, like there has to be certain norms which keep that marriage together, you know, like loyalty, commitment, honesty. ये values important hai in a marriage. Okay, so within that context, freedom is also there. कि आप मर्जी जो करो, that kind of thing. But there has to be some structure. I think that's also very important, otherwise marriages tend to break very easily
Yes.
nowadays, So शादी का
Yeah.
मतलब, that is the reason हम वो vows लेते हैं. When you get married, you have certain sacred vows that you take. Of course, these vows also need to be changed. I think the vows also have become very kind of, पता नहीं कौन से जमाने के vows अभी तक चल ही रहे हैं, है ना, that 7 lifetimes you'll be together and all that stuff. तो वो सब चीजें मुझे लगता है कि बदलने की जरूरत है, because I think it's too much for both of them. But I think marriage as an institution, marriage as it's a beautiful thing, to be with that one person, commit yourself to that person. But I think as the years are going by and new souls are coming with some agendas in their mind,
Yes.
things are going to see there's going to be a lot of change, is what I see.
They will. The LGBTQ community has already shown that there is changes coming. People are starting to understand that it's not the body, there's more towards each individual. So the change is coming slowly but surely.
Coming slowly but surely, and hopefully it's going to make us as a
Yes.
earthly existence a better place for all of us to be in. So thank you so much, Krishika. It was a very thought-provoking talk today. And a lot of,
Thank you.
People can think about this seriously. Think about themselves, think about their children, think about the way they are thinking about others, whether it's a gay or a, whatever. And all these labels are not needed, but anyway. But I think it's very, very important. This is a very thought-provoking discussion that I think we'll all think about, Yeah. So thank you so much, Krishika. It was really wonderful to see you and to hear you. And I'm so happy that young people are, thinking on these lines and talking about it. I think this is very, very important for all of us. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's give a nice reaction to Krishika's talk today, everybody. Lots of
Thank you.
hearts to her. Thank you, darling. Thank you.
Thank you so much.